You can find From the Dome on iTunes, Podbean.com, and the Podbean app. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, thank you for making us a part of your day. Now, here are your hosts, Augie and Bray.
Hello, and welcome into another episode of From the Dome. It seems like we've been in this situation before, another lost episode. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to go over. Bray, it's just, wow. What's up, man?
Oh, man. Lots to get to tonight, and just here we are again. Just mediocrity at its finest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the same old every year, it seems like, and it's not getting any better. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. There's going to be a lot of talk with Brian Kelly. It's just a lot of things to be disappointed about. So let's just jump right in. What jumped out to you right away?
Well, our elite offensive line isn't so elite, is it?
No, it does. As a whole, it's not elite. I do not think there are a couple individuals on that offensive line though that made some plays, but I think you're correct. As a whole, that offensive line struggled.
It's just, what we thought was our strength, a huge strength going into the game, going against a front seven that I knew and we should have all known was going to be tough. And, man, that Georgia defense has some speed. Man, they are fast and they can tackle. And, they kept everything in front of them. They were double and Equanimous over the top. I mean, it was hard to push the ball vertically. I mean, holy cow, do we need a second receiver to step up? Do we need Stefferson back or what? Or Claypool or Boykin to step up? I think there's major issues when we're counting on Chris Fink late in the game. I don't quite understand why C.J. Sanders isn't in the rotation at all for the slot position. There's just a lot of questions, and don't even get me started on Dexter Williams and why on God's green earth that guy can't touch the ball. Why? Tell me why Ian Book has more carries against Georgia than Dexter Williams.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and I think the depth at wide receiver is a big topic to get to. It's pretty sad when your leading receiver is your running back, and he only had 6 receptions. And I know they were doubling Equanimous over the top, but still, you got to have other guys taking plays. But I think you're absolutely correct with everything you're saying. It was disappointing to watch the offensive line but this offense as a whole just really not take advantage of situations where they could have taken advantage. And I know this defense was good from Georgia, but we turned the ball over 2 or 3 times, and that's unacceptable. You can't do that. Wimbush, it looks like he's got butter on his hands. He can't hold on to the football. I don't know, just a lot of questionable decisions. Dexter Williams doesn't play. A lot of questionable decisions
due to a coach's decision, of which we've just everyone has been all over Brian Kelly for his recent coaching decisions, and not doing himself any favors by saying that at this point.
I think we'll get to Brian Kelly here in a second. I've got something to pick with him as well. But yeah, it's just some of the decisions that are being made, and I don't know if it's him or Chip Long making decisions on personnel, who goes in and out. But you can't be a top tier program and have the 2 running backs we have and only get 55 rushing yards total. We have a quarterback that can run. We have Josh Adams, who's probably one of the best backs in the country, and Dexter Williams that could probably be one of the best backs in the country if he was given the chance. And we still only gain 55 yards total on the ground, that is supposed to be your strength.
Right. I mean, even Tony Jones Jr. only had 1 carry on the day. To me, it's like this. I'm not saying Josh Adams isn't good, or he just wasn't getting it done, right? Whether there was no running lanes or what. I mean, whatever you want to say, he wasn't getting it done, okay? Now, he caught the ball very well, had 6 receptions for 60 yards, but at the same time, the running game, which is our strength again, right, needed some sort of spark, okay? And who the heck more of a spark can it be than Dexter Williams, where whenever that dude touches the ball in a game, something crazy happens, right? I mean, he's been, think back to Syracuse last year, think to Temple last weekend. In the limited action that we've seen that man, why? Tell me why on earth he doesn't get the ball in this game when we needed a spark, man. And at the end of the day, Brian Kelly, if it's a coach's decision, well, guess what? If you throw him in there and he doesn't do anything because Georgia was just that much better than us on Saturday on the controlling the line of scrimmage, then guess what? You exhausted all your options, and no one here is nitpicking you for not playing Dexter Williams, which is that's just something that you can. It's so easy for him to take care of and an easy criticism for him to get out of. Just play the man. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Brian Kelly being his normal stubborn self again. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But, I mean, it's not like unless something happened between Temple and on Saturday, Dex played against Temple. Now, it was late. But it's not like he's in trouble, you'd think, because he's played, in the past, the season. So how do you not – you're absolutely correct. How do you not, just try all your options? You're playing a top 25 team at home that, yeah, you might be the favorite, but let's be honest, we were the underdog going into that game. I think everyone thought that. And you're not going to try every option when you're, in a gridlock game with a top 25 SEC team. I don't understand that. I mean – I feel like you should be trying every option to win, and it did not seem like he did that this week.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Look, again, I picked Notre Dame to lose this game, okay? Not that I wanted to, but because I didn't think we were going to win, because Brian Kelly hasn't won a big game since 2012, because Brian Kelly before this game was 1-8 in his last 9 games decided by one score. Now he's 1-9 in those games, and he's 5-11 in his last 16 games at Notre Dame, right? I mean, it's just nothing, no sign pointing to us winning. Now, did we compete? Yes, we competed. But guess what? It's time to win games and win big games and win at home, right? And I'm sure we're going to get into this whole sea of red thing that Georgia took over our stadium, which is absolutely embarrassing. But guess what, Brian Kelly or Notre Dame football? Maybe you should put a winning product on the field, and we will take care of everything else in terms of a fan base, right? I mean, I don't know the whole partnership with Vivid Seats and dumping tickets to Vivid Seats and people can sell their tickets on Vivid Seats for more than face value without getting in trouble. Who do you think is going to take advantage of that? Not Notre Dame fans, right? So Notre Dame did this to themselves in terms of Georgia taking over the stadium. It's just there's just so many frustrating things that came out of this, like it's just I said I was talking to some people at the tailgate before the game, and I was like, look, this game is critical to the rest of Brian Kelly's tenure at Notre Dame. Last year was the beginning of the end. We lost. This is chapter 5 of the beginning of the end. Okay, I mean something has to be done at this point. And look, I know I picked him to lose. That doesn't mean that you can't be held accountable for not winning, right? So it's just
especially in a game that was easily winnable.
Yes.
This game was winnable. We should have won, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a freshman quarterback coming in, making his first start. And now, I don't think he beat us. The guy, when his touchdown pass, he made a spectacular play. Terry got.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was great coverage. We were right in position. Now, I guess you could turn around and look at the ball, but what Notre Dame cornerback has done that in the last 15 years? But, I mean, he made a great play. One-handed snag. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap. You know what I'm saying? And Jake Fromm did not beat us, right? Dude, it's just there's so much. It's just it's so old at this point. It's why it's Groundhog Day, and it's exhausting, man. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, and it comes to this. What I was kind of thinking during this game was, I honestly have no problem with how the defense played. You might disagree.
No,
but
not at all.
Yeah, so the defense played very well. Now, they had a freshman quarterback, but, from what I saw, that guy was pretty good, and I think in 2 or 3 years he's going to be even better. But you had 2 of the best running backs in the nation, held both of them. I mean, they both had 63 and 73 yards, respectively, but for as good as they are, that's pretty good to hold them to that.
Yeah, if you were to tell me before the game, Augie, that we were going to hold Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel to under 100 yards each, and they had a freshman quarterback making his first career start, I would have told you we win. The defense did everything you could have asked. They couldn't have done anything better. They created turnovers. They took the ball away. They stopped the run, which was their strength. I mean, the defense could not have done anything.
And so that gets me to my point here with Brian Kelly is it seems like we're back in 2012, the most successful season Notre Dame's had in the last 10 years. And it was we were back. We're back on the national pedestal. Well, guess what? Brian Kelly that year was bailed out how many games by one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
And it seemed like we're back at that again. If Brian Kelly wins this game, if Notre Dame wins this game this past week, yeah, I'm happy, but also at the same time, I'm thinking, man, he got bailed out again by another really good defensive performance. And I think this defense is going to be, not as good as 2012, but they will be up in that area of I don't know how I want to say this, but they'll be up in that area of how good they are.
Well, they're competing, This is a totally different defense than we saw last year.
You have a defensive coordinator that has, I think, a great scheme, a great game plan against people. That's what we've seen this far. And I think he's just bailing out Brian Kelly again.
Yeah, look, Brian, it's you fired half your staff last year, offensive, defensive coordinators. You bring in new special teams. Guess what? The problem still is here, right? So what's your excuse now? Your defense, you can't blame it on the defense like last year, giving up 30-plus points to everybody we played, including Duke. Now, guess what? The defense held them to 20 points and did more than enough to keep you in this game. Created turnovers. We scored a touchdown off one of our turnovers, Dalen Hayes' fumble recovery. We didn't drive down the length of the field to score a touchdown all game, right? Now, I understand that offensively, when you play good defenses, and Georgia has a good defense, I don't think anybody can honestly say, well, Georgia sucks or Georgia's going to finish third in the SEC East and their defense. Look, they may finish third, but this defense is very, very solid. It's the best front seven we're going to see all year, okay? But at the same time, you're an offensive-minded coach, Brian Kelly. Here's our strength, right? We're running the football. Okay, it doesn't work. At this point, I don't care what we had to do, but we had to do something, right? And we're here now trying to figure out who our second receiver is going to be when you completely take Equinemius out of the game 100%. We got Alizé Mack, who just can't stay off Twitter. The dude's TikToking this and TikToking that and can't catch a dang football. And it's just the excuses are over, Brian Kelly. This is the chapter 5 of the beginning of the end book that you started writing last year. You literally have to find a way to win 10 games or else you are completely toast in my book.
Yep. So, we'll see how they respond this week. We're not going to talk much about Boston College. We should win big, let's hope. But just for the sake of the football team, let's hope they win big so we can get some confidence back. One loss doesn't take you out of the whole season, and it's early to a very good football team. So, I'm looking at this week as let's get back. Let's, get back to what we're good at. Let's get that running game going again, and hopefully some of these other guys get into the game. Because right now, I don't think it's an issue with play calling. I don't think it's an issue with defense. I think it's an issue with personnel decisions and the man at the top. It comes down to a leadership thing. And right now, there is no leadership. And I think we saw that frustration building in him in his press conference after the game as well. Did you happen to see his remarks to the reporter?
Yes.
So if anyone doesn't know listening to the show, I'm sure you do, but a female reporter did ask a question. Wasn't the best worded question, but the question is a very legitimate question, I believe. She basically asked, how do you keep this from being like the last couple of years where you lose and then all of a sudden the season snowballs? Because that's been a trend in the past. We get one loss and then we get 4 or 5 right after that. So she asked that question, and Brian Kelly basically, just was kind of a dick to her. And
he took offense to it, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, but I don't see why you can take offense to that. And then she goes, well, you lose so many games by one possession. And then he says, well, it wasn't one possession, it was 1 point. And I was like,
which is a possession.
That's still in possession, Brian. You can't get 1 point without at least possessing the ball. So I don't. It just seems like his frustration's building. The leadership is deteriorating, and it's really unfortunate to see.
Look, she was asked a great question, a question that everybody that has a noggin in our fan base is asking. Brian, in the past, this has snowballed into a 4-8 season or a collapse down the stretch. How is this going to be different? What have you done? I know you've made staff change. It's a valid question, right? But we have these soft beat writers and these soft reporters that ask all these cupcake questions about guys and why didn't he play. No one's attacking him like that chick did, right? And I commend her for it. So he took offense to it, right? Because it was a heck of a question, and a question that we want answered, right? So look, can we get some beat writers out there? Like I heard, shout out to 1 Foot Down. I heard Joshua Vowles ask him a question. That dude isn't going to hold back. Hey, Josh, can we ask Brian Kelly some hard questions here? Because we just need to keep bringing this up at this point. Because, dude, ask these tough things, and he starts losing it. Now, look, at the end of the day, I'm not reading too much into this other than the fact that she asked a good question that we want answered, right? The way he reacted is the way he reacted. I don't really care. But win football games, and you don't have this issue.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it comes down to one thing: win football games, and you're going to be, things are going to be all right. And the only good things, so I'm going to look forward a little bit. The only good thing that I'm, positive about right now is the next 4 football games are they're winnable games, and we should win. Boston College on the road, Michigan State on the road, and Miami, Ohio at home. So you take those next 3 games, or 4 games, and then we have North Carolina on the road as well. You take those next 4 games, those very winnable games. This is where Brian Kelly needs to realize, okay, I have USC in about 5-6 weeks. I have 4 games before that to get my football team to where I want them to be, to go into a game against a top 5 team right now at the moment, a USC team that has looked pretty damn good. You have 4 weeks to get ready for that game, basically. You have to win those other football games. Michigan State on the road is not going to be easy, but it's a winnable game. So if I'm Brian Kelly right now, I'm thinking, let's get my football team to where I want them to be. And this season is not, is savable. But I think you're absolutely correct. His future is in his hands right now.
Yeah, I mean, the season's not completely over, but I've pretty much written it off at this point because, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm looking at the schedule and being realistic. We need Georgia to be exceptional, to make us look better, right? So they have to win the SEC East, and they have to make a solid showing in the SEC Championship. That's a lot to ask Georgia to do at this point, right? Because we saw the game. They're not great offensively. They're pretty solid defensively, but they weren't knocking anything out of the park, right? And so we need them to be great to finish the year, right? Now, that means in order for us to get to 10 wins, we have to go 3 of 4 against Michigan State, USC, Miami, and Stanford, okay? And that's not even including a sneaky NC State team, right? So what I saw on Saturday, if any of those teams, Stanford, maybe you can mix in Miami, definitely Michigan State in terms of decently solid front 7 teams, how are we going to run the football, our bread and butter against it? Because we just played someone that's actually worth a crap on the front 7 and couldn't do anything. So how are we going to go 3-4 against those teams is my question to you, Augie.
And that's a valid question. And honestly, I can't sit here and say, this is the game plan we need to have because I don't know. We have to. That's what they need to figure out. So you can hope that they do, but who really knows at this point what is going on in the inner workings of Notre Dame football?
There's just a lot. Like what I just explained is Mount Everest to climb for Notre Dame to get to 10 wins. You know what I'm saying? That was my point in it, and it's just I don't want to write the season off, but guess what? I mean, you lose the first big game on your schedule, and there's a lot of pressure on you, Brian Kelly, at this point. So,
yeah, you're absolutely correct. You were at the stadium. This has kind of been a topic that's been talked about around Notre Dame country. All the red that was in the stadium. Now it looked pretty bad on TV. Now, fan-wise, and atmosphere, was it as bad as it was portrayed?
I mean, there was so much red in there. It was unbelievable. And I had I was sitting in the box, and there's a piece of glass that opened, so I had a 6-foot window that I could see out of, right, and hear. And I think the sound was a little bit distorted, so I didn't get quite the effect of the atmosphere. But there were a balls load of Georgia fans in there, and it's embarrassing. Our stadium was taken over, and it's just, I mean, there's no other word to say but embarrassing. But before I can even call out our fans or have anything to say to our fans is we got to win football games first. How are we going to establish any sort of home field advantage ever if we don't win, right? Starts with winning at home, and we don't do that. And Brian Kelly hasn't done that in the last 2 years at this point. And it's like I said, it's hard for me to call the fans out because they could have made solid money on these tickets. I mean, if you think about it, if you bought season tickets through the university, you're paying some licensing fees and miscellaneous fees along the way, and printing fees or whatever the heck fees that they put on there. And you could have made a very solid portion of that money back just on this one game, right? And if you put it on Vivid Seats, there's no chance you can get in trouble for selling your tickets for more than face value. And for other people that risked it, I mean, they don't, at the end of the day, if they're going to make half their money back or more on their season tickets off one game, I don't think that they cared who they went to, because Notre Dame has done this to themselves with the addition of the Vivid Seats thing and raising ticket prices, season ticket prices, and all ticket prices in general because of whatever, this $500 million expansion. I mean, they did it to themselves, and they have nobody to point the finger at other than the athletic department and decisions that they've made as a university. So again, it's hard for me to call out the fans. I'm not sure what your opinion is on this, but it's just, looking at it from that perspective, I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm lucky because my mother works at the university, of which I buy the season tickets through her, and they are they're face value, because the employees do not have to pay the licensing fees, the printing fees, your mother's tickets fees, or whatever they have, right? So I'm lucky, and I didn't feel it necessary to do that. But I understand why people did, and it's not like we're winning, right? So the funny thing to me is it's all Georgia fans that were paying $600-$700 a pop because Notre Dame fans wanted to pay face value, because guess what? We know the product that's on the field, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how can you? As me personally, I'm not a season ticket holder. I do not own season tickets. I usually make it to about 1 or 2 games a year, and I will not pay more than face value. And I think you and I have talked about that. In 2012, guess what? I went to every home game, I think, and I probably paid about $100 a ticket, which is more than face value. The product was better. We were winning at that time. This team was 4-8 last year. 4-8.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not paying more than $70 to go watch a 4-8 football team play. Right. I don't care. Now, if it was later this year and we were 7-1, 8-1, I might pay $100 depending on the game. But right now, I don't care that it was Georgia. And I know you kept telling me you got to come. It's the biggest game. I'm like, but that's so much money. And I thought, earlier this year, I thought we were going to get blown out. So honestly, the game that was on the field was better than what everyone probably expected when these tickets were being bought. So as a Notre Dame fan, I think I'm right there with these people that sold their tickets and, didn't buy tickets because of the price. I'm absolutely right there. So I can't blame the fans. I'm with you. I think you blame the athletic department. You blame the football team. You blame the leadership. And that's where we come back to the first problem we've had all year, over the last couple years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know another way to put it. I mean, you got to win, right? And when you start putting a quality winning product on the field that wins big games, that doesn't lose to Northwestern, doesn't lose to Duke, doesn't lose to Navy, when you start doing something more consistent, and then we can get on the fans. Then we can have a bone to pick with our people, because then it's up to us to help. We don't have to do our part at this time because they're not doing theirs. So, yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. So I mean, just like we've said it. It's disappointing. I think a lot of fans are starting to get to that point. I think there's going to be some changes, and it's going to happen soon unless this season really turns around. College football's sake, what jumped out you in the college football area this week?
Well, the world, I guess. I mean, Notre Dame ticked me off.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to get your mind off Notre Dame for a second here.
I don't want to. How about, we got more bones to pick. Well,
we do, but I want to take one little break.
Okay.
Because you're starting to get your little ranting self here.
Okay, sorry. You want to review our picks? Take a break and review our picks.
Yeah, let's go over pick them real quick.
Okay, so this week we incorporated the spreads, and obviously the Notre Dame Georgia game, I picked Georgia to win. So you weren't very successful in that pick. Over the course of the week, I went 3-2, another very mediocre performance, just like Notre Dame football. You went 2-3. You had a very under par week, or I'm sorry, over par week. That'd be the better way to explain that. Just like Notre Dame football. So we have a little trend going on there. Wisconsin did not cover their 32-point spread against Florida Atlantic. So you won that.
That was my hot pick of the week.
Yeah, that was surprising to me as I saw Navy just curb stomp, the old Lane Kiffin last week.
Hey, I think Lane's all about the odds. He's playing the odds now. That's his goal.
He's betting on himself.
That's right.
Auburn, Clemson, we both got that game correct in picking Clemson. We both completely whiffed on the Ohio State-Oklahoma game. I didn't see that coming whatsoever. I picked OSU to win by 10, and they got absolutely curb stomped. So the Stanford-USC game, I picked USC and the points, and you took the points in Stanford. So that's where we ended at 3-2 and 2-3. We can make our picks in a little bit, but maybe I'm calmed down enough to keep talking some Notre Dame football with you. So
I think you are. I just want to get your mind a little off because I know when you're getting a little ranty, and then I sit over here and kind of listen to you for the next half hour. So.
I don't want to rant, really. I want to talk to you about it. It's just hard.
I know, but the problem is right now, as a Notre Dame fan, it's a lot of ranting. It's like not a lot to talk about. It's a lot to be pissed off about.
What do you think of the wide receiver situation? This is something that both of us thought at the beginning of the year was going to be a strength of the football team, of a depth position of the football team, and clearly that's not it at this point. So I don't know if you have any thoughts. What do you think of the receiving core as it stands right now? I
think it's weak.
Yeah.
And I think, I kind of, last week I was a little more hopeful because we had about 8 or 9 guys catch a pass. So I was like, hey, we're getting guys involved. Maybe we can get more guys involved. But I think I kind of alluded to it, when we opened the show. Josh Adams had 6 catches, which I'm not mad necessarily that he had 6 catches. I'm mad that our running back is our leading receiver because that just speaks to all a defense right now has to do is take Equinemius out of the picture, which Georgia did late in the game when they were putting 2 guys on him, and we still couldn't get other guys involved. Now, I know someone, Chris Fink had 3 catches, Cameron Smith had 3, Elise Mack had 2, but still, it feels like there's not a playmaker at wide receiver right now. I know Equinemius is, but if he gets taken out of it, who do you go to then?
Yeah, there's nobody at this point.
And that's something that we haven't really seen in the last 3 or 4 years. We've always had kind of that second guy who could take some pressure off a guy like Will Fuller or Equinemius. The loss of Stepherson right now is huge. I didn't think it would be that big at the beginning of the season, but now it's huge.
Yeah.
And you don't see a guy like C.J. Sanders, like you said, out there. Where's he at?
Yeah, so what's
Nobody
with that?
knows.
Look, we saw him catch some balls last year. When he catches the ball on a punt return and a kicker, oh yeah, why the heck is Chris Fink returning punts too? Come on, C.J. Sanders.
It's basically becoming a punt return of wherever he catches it is where we're going to be because he doesn't seem like he's going to make a play. And he's not fair catching it when he needs to fair catch the ball.
Right. But to be fair to Chris Fink, he hasn't really had the greatest of opportunities. But at the end of the day, to me, C.J. Sanders has proved through and through that he's the better option at both of those positions. So why are you not playing your best odds as a football team?
C.J. Sanders is a playmaker. We saw a couple kick returns this past week. If you give him a little bit of space, he's going to make guys miss. So if you put him in that slot, put him on a slant, put him something where he's going to be running when catching the ball.
Yes,
I think you make plays there. But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen plays like that at all.
How about we stop running? How about we stop running screen passes to Cameron Smith and start running them to C.J. Sanders? Or, there's not, like, what in the world? How do you expect even C.J. Sanders to be good on kick returns when all he goes in is on 4 or 5 times a game at the most to return kicks? He has got no feel for the game. I mean, why isn't he in the slot? Why aren't we handing the ball off to him on jet sweeps like we have in the past? Why aren't we, like you said, why aren't we running quick slants with the man? Why aren't we running screen passes to the man?
And you know what tells me that we don't really have playmakers at receiver right now, and especially when we're not running the ball well? What were we on third down? I mean, we were 3 for 17 on third down. We did not convert. At one point we were 0 for 10, and I think we got a first down on a pass interference or a holding or something to that extent. So that tells me we don't have playmakers at receiver. We're not making plays when we need to. And how many touchdowns did we score? 1.
Yep.
Yeah, we had 19 points, but 4 of those were field goals.
Yeah.
So we're not making plays on third down when we need to. And that just tells you right there, we don't have playmakers at receiver that can do something and get yards when we need to. And it seemed like every third down, it'd be 3rd and 10, and we're running a 7-yard, some kind of 7-yard route. And then, all right, he catches the ball and he's tackled right away. Doesn't make a guy miss. Doesn't, extend for the first down. It's just there is not a playmaker right now that can get those yards except for Equinemius, but he's being taken away.
Well, even when Equinemius, we go the flea flicker the first play of the game. The ball's in the breadbasket, Equinemius. You have to catch that ball. I mean, start the game and catch the ball, right? And even him, when he catches the ball, we don't have a receiver. We don't really have a running back at this point, other than, I would argue, Dexter Williams, that has any fight after they have the ball in their hand. Okay, Josh Adams has broken a couple tackles, yada yada. But so receiving end, when Equinemius catches the ball, he goes down at this point. This year, Cameron Smith, he might have a little bit of fight in him, but nobody like Alize Mack, I guess, comes to mind in this situation. When he catches the ball, he's a snowflake. When he has the ball in his hand, he's got safeties bringing him down. He's got other, corners bringing him down and tackling him. He can't get a couple yards for a touchdown against Temple. I mean, come on. How big are you? How strong are you? How many stars of a recruit were you? We have to have so much more out of Alize Mack in particular that will help Equinemius get open. Alize Mack is a mismatch nightmare, and we're just not taking advantage of it schematically at this point.
Yeah, and it comes down to right now you have one receiver, and if you take him out of the game, you have that second tier, which just isn't good enough to win football games right now. So I think the receiver. Go ahead. Well,
you're exactly right. And Brian Kelly has cited attention to detail, according to in a Sunday press conference, as reasons why Miles Boykin and Chase Claypool haven't played. Like, okay, guess what, Brian Kelly? All the attention to detail that you've preached this whole time apparently isn't working anyway. So if you've got guys that are pretty talented that aren't paying attention to detail, but maybe can give you a little bit of a chance to win, maybe you should put them in, because guess what? You're coaching for your job, buddy. You got to do something here.
So do you think Brian Kelly pulls out all stops the next couple of weeks because he's starting to feel that seat get hot, or do you think he's going to be his stubborn self and we're going to see the same old shit over and over again?
We're going to see the same old crap until we play USC. The USC game is when he has to pull out all stops. He's got really nothing on the schedule. I'd say Michigan State is going to be tough. But other than that, we've got Boston College, North Carolina, Miami, Ohio. I just don't see anything there that makes him have to get out of his comfort zone at all and make any sort of decisions that are like meaningful decisions, or maybe other than a little bit of the Michigan State game. So we're going to see the same old, same old. USC is, first of all, we better be, what would we be? 1, 2, 3, 4. We would be 5-1 heading to, we have to be 5-1 heading to USC by a large margin, okay? And that's when we got to see Brian Kelly make some decisions that are actually right and help this football team win games.
Yeah, he's really lucky to have the next 4 weeks he does, because it's just like that question I was asked. How does he keep this from snowballing? And right now, the thing that's going to keep this from snowballing probably is the teams that are coming up.
Yeah, Boston College isn't really going to pose much of a threat to us at all. Michigan State, look, again, we said this at the beginning of the year. They're still Michigan State, right? Mark D'Antonio is still going to do what he does, and they're still going to be a physical football team. And we just played a physical football team, and that didn't go very well, right? And then you got Miami, Ohio, who, they score a lot of points. But, at the end of the day, I don't know if they can stop our rushing attack. And, North Carolina. Then you got, look at this, listen to this schedule as USC hits. USC, NC State. Then you got a little bit of a week off against Wake Forest. Miami, Navy, Stanford. I mean, that is going to be brutal.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's you're absolutely correct. And it's just going to be, the next 4 weeks are huge to get those wins because of those last 4 weeks and USC. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so flabbergasted at some of the things that are going on. What do you got?
I mean, this Dexter Williams thing. Like, what's amazing to me is that they're showing all these highlights of Dexter Williams on the Jumbotron in the middle of the game, right? And the man can't see the field as a running back. We got Ian Buck.
Well, I thought it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought what was funny is on Twitter during the game, people were tweeting a picture of a milk carton and a missing picture of Dexter Williams on the side.
That was awesome.
So I thought that was pretty funny. So, I mean, it gave me a little bit of comic relief during the game. But, yeah, it is ironic that they're playing Dexter Williams highlights and he can't get in. Maybe the video guy's sitting up there like, man, why isn't Dex got in? Let's send us some subtle hints.
Hopefully.
To Mr. Kelly.
Somebody, I mean.
Maybe. I mean, maybe the video guy knows more than Brian Kelly right now.
I think we all know more than Brian Kelly at this point.
It sure seems like it. I know it's that's kind of the most ignorant way to be a fan, but right now it feels like it.
It's tough, man. We're in a tough spot. I mean, I'm looking at this spreadsheet that somebody tweeted out earlier, and Irish Tightness tweeted some win percentages along with it, and it's like looking at these last games, man. We are on a downward spiral, even below mediocrity at this point. I mean. Dude, something at this point, like, we can sit here and talk all we want about, well, who would you want to come in? And some people would say Bob Stoops. Well, Bob Stoops has baggage, right? He lets people on his team that hit people. I was talking about that this weekend with some friends. They hit women or that blah, blah, blah. And then you've got Les Miles. Well, does he eat AstroTurf? Because if he doesn't, maybe he can't be our football coach. I mean.
Do you see the picture that was tweeted of Bob Stoops in the booth at the Oklahoma OSU game? So I guess he went on air during the game, and he had a pink unbuttoned shirt, and he probably had 4 or 5 buttons undone. I think that man is enjoying retirement right now.
I do too, and some other people that I talked to this weekend said they think he's done too, and he very, very well may be. I don't know if I'd want him as our head coach. I mean, he wins games, obviously, but when you bring things along those lines of, players that hit women, domestic violence stuff, etc., it's kind of hard to, for Notre Dame donors probably to swallow that pill. Now, he wins football games, right? But to me, there's only 2 people that would really, truly satisfy me or make me feel like it was a great hire, and that would be Urban Meyer and Nick Saban, either of which have no chance of coming. So at this point, it's almost like I almost don't care who it is. We almost just need a new voice in the locker room at this point. I mean, the talent's there. We have guys. We've consistently recruited pretty well under Brian Kelly, but we just need. I guess we need a new motivator in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously we're being a little we're talking in the future because right now Brian Kelly's your head football coach, and maybe it takes a guy like Chip Long or Mike Elko to step up and have a little more say. Maybe it's something like that. So I don't know. I really have no problem with the way they've coached so far.
So who do you think's calling plays?
I mean, everyone says it's Chip Long. I'm sure Brian Kelly has a little bit, a say in it, but I think it's probably Chip Long for the most part. I
think it is too, and of course Brian Kelly has an influence on it, but to me it's much less of an influence because we've pushed the ball vertically way more consistently in years past as he was, and we very rarely like take shots down the field at this point. And that kind of leads into Wimbush himself. It's like maybe I'm not saying he's not as good as I thought or doesn't have the potential that I think he has, but like I mean he played a good defense, right? His second true start, played a very, very good front seven. Obviously wasn't quick enough to outrun some of those ends and linebackers and stuff to get to the outside, and didn't hang on to the ball a couple times when he got pressured. But I mean, I'm not throwing in the towel on Wimbush whatsoever. I mean, I'll defend him. I think he's not completely to blame for this game, but I don't think he is even close to as far along as I was really, really hoping in terms of throwing the football. I mean, anything down, anything past about 10 or 15 yards, it's been tough for him this year. And I haven't seen any stats or anything along those lines, but just thinking of anything that's gone, 10 or 15 yards down the field hasn't really been good. I remember pretty blatantly in the first half he missed Josh Adams on a pass that would have easily picked up a first down, just kind of sailed it, and I don't know, man. He just doesn't seem as comfortable and as good in throwing the football vertically, and I don't know.
It almost seems like a lot of the play calling and what he's been doing, it's like they're still trying to get him comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of frustrating that, here we are going into week 3 and we're still trying to get our quarterback comfortable.
It's like they're limiting him kind of,
Yeah. But at the same time, who does he really have to go down throw down the field right now?
Yeah.
Except for one guy, really.
Well, I mean, you got Chris Fink, a freaking walk-on that we're depending on our last drive to catch passes over the middle.
Exactly. So it's not like he has playmakers that he can just throw it up to over the top. So I see where that play calling comes in. But that's another thing. That's where these next 4 games come in huge. This is 4 games that can get Wimbush. Maybe we can start pushing the ball a little more vertical, get him a little more confidence, and start to open up that playbook. Right?
But even more. At that, why don't we do what Georgia's offensive coordinator did for Jake Fromm? I mean, he was just throwing quick stuff all day, quick slants, quick outs to tight ends, quick stuff over the middle, getting him comfortable. I don't remember us running a quick slant. Why can't we run a 5 or 7 yard out with a tight end? That's just quick. Little 3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, throw, 1, 2, 3, throw. Some timing stuff. Get him in a rhythm. How is that going to hurt him? It seems like everything we do is a play action kind of drop back, takes 4 or 5 seconds to develop, and oh God, we play a good front seven, and Mike McGlinchey isn't playing a good game. So Davin Bellamy is just ripping us apart. So maybe we should do something a little bit quicker. Maybe we should make some offensive adjustments at this point. I mean, just thinking out loud here, I guess.
No, and I think you're right, and hope maybe that's something that we'll see in the next couple of weeks. I think you're absolutely correct. It seems like everything takes so long to develop on these play action type of plays, and I think something quicker, a slant, like I said, maybe get a guy like CJ Sanders in there, a guy that can make some plays when you get him some open space. Get him a play where he's running when he catches the ball, and maybe you'll get 4 or 5 extra yards after the catch instead of this. We take 5 steps back, we throw it to a guy that's 7 yards down the field, and he's tackled right away. So I think you're absolutely correct there.
Yeah, I mean, if Stefferson has this quiet 4-game suspension or whatever the heck he has going on, that means he would be back for Miami, Ohio. And then so he would have Miami, Ohio, and UNC to get going before we get to USC. And I think you have to have CJ Sanders get into this mix a little bit. And guess what? You just got to push along Boykin. You got to push along Claypool. Coach them better, Brian Kelly, because you're in a situation right now. If you don't think they're paying attention to detail, then you need to scare the life out of them or do something to get them to the next level, because that's your job, okay? We can't sit here and say guys aren't here. Guys aren't where we want them. Guys, no. Guess what? You got to get them there, and you have to get them there now, because we're not going to put up with it anymore. So it's going to be huge. CJ Sanders has to be involved in what we're doing moving forward. To me, I don't want to count on Chris Fink. I'm not trying to disrespect the man, but I don't want him returning punts. I don't want to depend on him catching balls over the middle in crunch time. I want to depend on guys like Miles Boykin and Chase Claypool and C.J. Sanders and Equinemius St. Brown. And I want Alize Mack to step up and stop being a little woman out there on the football field and then going back and tweeting pictures of his cleats and tweeting TikTok and I'm going to be better and I've said this for 2 straight weeks and just man up, bro. Like, it's time. We're not wasting any more time. We're 8 years into this. It's over if you don't get this done.
Let's go, cuz. Let's win some football games. Anything last Notre Dame before we move on to some other college football stuff you want to get off your chest and let everybody know?
No, I mean, I think we've said everything. I think everybody said everything. I think everyone, fan base wise, is on the same page. I mean, there's stats galore out there of what Brian Kelly does and doesn't do, and all signs point to him just being he's mediocre at Notre Dame, and that's not what we are. We can't stand for that, And people can sit there and say, "Oh, it was an SEC team and we lost by 1." Yeah, well, go tell your kindergartner that when he gets off the field, because it's bull crap. Okay, it's complete bullcrap. And again,
we're not Ball State. There's no moral victories.
Yes, there is no such thing as a moral victory. We're not Ball State. We're not hoping for the Little Caesars Bowl in Detroit, Michigan at 6-6. That's not what we are.
Hey, watch it. They're 1-1 now. We're on our way, baby.
Well, thank God somebody won this weekend.
Hey, yeah, I was kind of excited. I went 0 for 2 on fantasy this week, so that was awesome. Notre Dame lost. The Colts are going to be terrible. All I had, and this is the saddest moment of my life in college football, is Ball State won. Beat a UAB team that I think is their second year back from their program.
It's their
being
first
resurrected.
year back, second game.
Was it their first year? Okay. I couldn't remember if it was their first or second.
R.I.P. Greg Bryant.
Yeah, but well, I actually went to the game too. It was the first time I sat through a whole football game at Schumann Stadium, which is Ball State Stadium.
So Greg Bryant just reminded me of something. I was talking to some friends. We were out with it was definitely Mark, Jimmy, Packy, and who was the other? Who was it? Tony McQueen. We were out at Scotty's Brew House on Sunday, kind of just talking about the game, recapping it, and I started saying something like, "Oh, Dexter Williams is the new Greg Bryant," or comparing him. We can't give Greg Bryant the ball, so why are we going to give it to Dexter Williams? So there you go. There's your statement from the Dome this year. Is Dexter Williams is the new Greg Bryant. So we've got 3 guys about to transfer. We've got Kevin Stefferson, Dexter Williams, and oh God, I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, C.J. Sanders. There we go. There's our 3 guys that are transferring if they don't start seeing the field.
All right, you heard it here, Bray's hot take of the year.
Let's get off Notre Dame. I'm done. Let's talk college football as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing that jumped out to me was how about Oklahoma and going into Columbus and just dominating.
How about Baker Mayfield just planting that flag at the 50-yard line?
How about him planting it, then realizing it's turf and it fell right away?
Yeah, it would have been great if they were already made it into a spear, so he could just jam it in there anyway.
Yeah, and I think he came out today or yesterday and said, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was a lot of emotion, but screw that, do it. Who cares?"
Yeah, it's Ohio State. Screw those guys.
You just dominated, one of the top football teams in the country on their own home field. I mean, do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, you put
Everyone's
them to
soft.
sleep. Yeah, you put them to absolute sleep. You can have yourself a moment there, Baker.
Yeah. So how was I know we're done talking about Notre Dame, but how was the tailgate scene out at Notre Dame?
I mean, it was really good. We were in the there's a lot of Georgia fans, man, which is kudos to them, right? We travel well. We take over people's stadiums. We had a little bit of a taste of our own medicine. Now, I don't think we've ever filled a stadium other than a Shamrock Series game like they quite did, but they traveled well, and kudos, hats off. Tailgate scene was good. We were in the stadium lot, had a nice little 3 or so of us together that that all knew each other and had a good time, and it got kind of rowdy. It was fun. People were getting drunk, which is what you should be doing on a Saturday during football season. But
oh, absolutely, I was right there with you. Just different place. That's a Saturday tradition. I saw some tweets and some videos. It looked like some people were not handling the all-day tailgate very well.
Like who? What'd you see?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you who they were, but just some dudes throwing up on each other, throwing up on themselves.
Quality.
All-day tailgate's not for everybody. That's a marathon, not a sprint.
Hey, look, I made the decision early that we were out in the tailgate lot before 7 a.m., which is a very, very long day, by the way. I made the decision that I was not going to put myself in the position to where I cracked my first beer at 7 a.m. like I traditionally would have, because I am just tired of being hungover in the game. So I can't sit here and say I was a trooper all day and just got super drunk and was my normal self, I guess, or probably was 90% of the people that tailgated. I had to make an adult decision at some point.
Oh, Bray Beatles. You turn, 25 on Thursday?
I did.
Yeah, so you're growing up. Look at you. It's a new man.
I heard right when 25 hits is when the hangovers just instantly get worse. So
I think I'm already there. 23, I'm there. I'm a man. These hangovers suck.
I'm a man.
I can't do it.
Come at me. I'm a man.
Yeah, I'm a big old man. But yeah, did you watch any other games on Saturday while you guys were out there tailgating?
We watched a little bit of Louisville and North Carolina played, I believe. Saw a little bit of the what was that? The Michigan-Cincinnati game. But other than that, I mean, it was bits and pieces. So I watched virtually no college football. I was impressed. I thought did not buy into the Auburn hype, but I was pretty impressed with how that they played Clemson on the road. I thought that was that was pretty decent. Their defense obviously is pretty good. But I still don't, it's still. I mean, Clemson's very good. Has their new starting quarterback is even pretty good. But I'm still not quite buying into that. But they impressed me a little bit more than I thought that they would. Obviously, your Ball State Cardinals won, so kudos to you again.
All right, baby, that's right.
I did see. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I did see that Purdue apparently played Friday night and installed new permanent lights on their field.
Yeah, Purdue's got lights. They won against a real tough Bobcat Ohio team. IU won, so the state of Indiana, except for Notre Dame, is having a nice little weekend.
It really amazes me that Purdue has finally advanced themselves to get permanent lights. I mean, that's just. They're really making jumps. They're making facility improvements to start getting some recruits. Yeah.
What do you think about the Big Ten playing on Friday nights?
Is that a thing now?
Yeah, so as far as I understand, I think they're going to have a Friday night game pretty much every week.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if it's Purdue playing Ohio, I mean, who's going to watch that?
It's in a night that's never really been a big college football night. It's always been high school football. So I guess, people are bored, they'll watch it.
So
maybe.
Now we got college football Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
And don't forget about a little Tuesday night action later in the year.
Yeah, well, does Ball State play a Tuesday night game?
Yes, they do. I believe the last 4 games of the season are all Tuesday or Thursday night games.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it kind of sucks, honestly.
Wow, that would suck horribly.
It takes like 2 Saturday games at home and makes them Tuesdays. And who wants to go, to a tailgate on a Tuesday night? You got especially that late, and you got classes and finals and stuff like that. So, yeah, not the most ideal situation, but it gets the money, and they'll take the money every day.
Yeah, well, shout out to Purdue for joining the 21st century and
That's right.
Advancing.
Boiler up.
Get that big old drum out.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go to our pick'em here. Let's make some picks and wrap this thing up.
Okay. This week we are picking. There's really not that many good games. I mean, there's a couple, but I started looking at these spreads, some interesting tight games. We're going to start with Tennessee and Florida. This is at Florida, with Florida favored by 5.5. Who do you have?
I'm going to take the points in Tennessee there.
Tennessee. Any particular reason?
I think 5 is. I liked how Tennessee looked week 1. I think they played Indiana State last week, so it wasn't exactly a test, I would say.
So you liked you liked them barely beating Georgia Tech in week 1?
Yeah, but I think the. Sorry, I was had a little visit into the room, but I like Butch Jones. I like him a lot. He's a Fair State guy. I respect a little Fair State. So I'm going to go with my man Butch. That's why. Okay.
Well, I'm going to take Tennessee too because I think Florida is a dumpster fire at this point. They can't score any points, so I can't imagine them winning by 5.5. So I'm going to take Tennessee there. We're going to move to probably the biggest game of the weekend, which is Clemson and Louisville, with Clemson on the road favored by 2.5.
Wow, 2.5. That's all. You go first on this one.
I'm taking Clemson.
Okay. So you think obviously you think they're going to win by basically what this spread comes down to is who's going to win the game. So I think I'm going to take Clemson as well.
Okay, we're going to go Texas versus USC. This is kind of an interesting little matchup. I kind of like the Pac-12, Big 12 matchup here. This game is at USC, I believe, with USC favored by 16.5.
I'm going to take the points in Texas. Little hot pick of the week.
Okay, I just don't see them really responding, I guess, at this point. So USC looked good. Sam Darnold looked good last weekend. I'm going to take USC to cover that. We're going to move on to what was one of the larger spreads amongst top 25 teams this weekend. Georgia State at Penn State, with Penn State favored by 38 points.
Whew, Penn State has looked pretty good. 38 points is a large spread. I'm going to take the points. I did this last week. I'm going to take the underdog in the points. I know I don't think they win, but I don't think they lose by 38 points.
I will take Penn State in those points all day.
All right. So we got a little bit of different opinions this week.
So our fifth game, we're going to go Kansas State against Vanderbilt, with Kansas State on the road at Vanderbilt favored by 4.
I'm going to take Kansas State here.
I am as well. Okay, so for the season records, just to review one more time, I am a very mediocre 6-4, and Augie is almost bowl eligible at 5-5. So
that's right. And if I win this year, we're going to be headed to a Ball State bowl game, assuming they make it. And have you decided what you want if you win?
I haven't yet. I'm gonna let this. It's still close. I think I got some time. We got some couple weeks left. I haven't decided our bet. I might even just take you straight up with yours and not even make you. Like, I'm so confident that I'm not gonna have to really worry about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bold decision there, Cotton. But I respect it. I respect the kahunas on you.
I got cojones,
hey,
bro.
That's right. You got big old cojones. Hey, it's been fun talking with you this week. Hopefully, we're talking a little bit positive next week. As always, you can catch us on Twitter. I tried to live tweet the game on our Twitter last week, but just between alcohol and technology, could not get into our Twitter for some reason From the Dome, so I did it on my personal account. Probably lost about 12 followers, but that's okay. But look for some live tweeting, hopefully during games on the From the Dome account in the future, whether it's me or Bray or both. And follow along with us. I did not see Bray. I did not get any pictures of you on your flow this week. I was a little disappointed.
There are some pictures. It looked rough. It really started looking rough because, man, all day the wind was blowing. It just wasn't a good hair day for me on Saturday. So
once again, if you remember from last week, they got a little challenge. Take a picture of Bray, tweet it at From the Dome 1842, hashtag something clever, give me a caption. We'll have a little fun with that. If you've not seen his hair, it's disgusting.
You're disgusting.
Yeah, I know. So go follow us at From the Dome 1842. Go subscribe on iTunes, and if you're an Android user, go on Podbean and download the app. Once again, we sit here as a Notre Dame fan and wonder what we have coming for the rest of the season. We can only hope that it's good. For the sake of Bray's ranting, my heart and my ears, go Irish.
Give Dex some carries, baby.
She got the way I did it, Bob. I see a boyfriend hating like the city cop. Now I ain't never been a chicken, but my city cop. Say I ain't never been a chicken, but my semi cop. Now where you bar at? I'm trying what are you about? DJ show me love, he say my name when the music stop. Young Money, Lil Wayne, then the music drop. I make it snow, I make it flow, I make it all back to mama, don't worry. Yeah, Young Wayne on the moves, aka Mr. Make It Rain on the moves. Young Wayne on the moves, Young Wayne on the moves. Take a step up on the love, T-Pain on the moves. Some clap on lights in this bitch. I'ma be clapping all night in this bitch. Lights out, mask out, creep silent, she's smiling, he mugging. Who cares? Cause my goons are right here. Like that's nothing to a big dog. I'm a great thing. I wear 8 chains. I mean so much ice, they yell skate wine. She wanna fuck me, but she wanna rape me. But you know it ain't trickin' if you got it. You know it ain't fucking if you not a dick. And I'll cool your ass down if you think you're hot shit. So Rolex, watch this. I do it 4, 5, 6, my click. Clap goes the light bulb flip. And just like it, I blow that shit. Cause bitch, I'm the bomb like tick, tick. Just like it, I blow that shit. Cause bitch, I'm the bomb like tick, tick. Money.